According to legend, Rome was built on 7 hills, and many people over the years said that, like Rome, San Francisco was built on 7 hills. Well, I don't know about 7 hills, but it is a neighborhood, a city rather, of many more neighborhoods, including the Excelsior. And today we're speaking with Development Director of Family Connections, Paul Olsen, about that neighborhood and family connections. Paul, welcome.
David, thanks for having me.
You know, I've been in San Francisco for 30 years, and I have to admit, probably the Excelsior is the neighborhood I know least.
Well, it's a very vibrant neighborhood,
Yeah.
and like many San Francisco neighborhoods, it's gone through transitions. When I was a kid, it was a largely Italian neighborhood. Now it's a largely Asian American and Latino neighborhood, and one where there are very few services. And so Family Connections exists to provide services to the families so that their kids can have a better life.
Now, the brochure we were just looking at talks about the campaign to realize 5016 Mission Street. For those of us who have lived in San Francisco near the Castro and the Mission for a while, this is the deep Mission. This is what I call Mission in Europe.
Yeah, this is way out. Yes, exactly. Mission in Italy is the corner where we're going to be across from the Italian-American Hall. And it is way out there. It's the Excelsior. It's an area, again, there's restaurants, there's beauty parlors, there's all kinds of things for business, but there's not a lot for families. And so we're converting an old warehouse into a 5,000 square foot family resource center.
And since your job is raising money,
that's what it's all about. You can't do the work without the money.
That's right. So you have an event coming up in April to raise money to realize 5016 Mission.
We do. On April the 6th, it's a Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8:30. We're having an event at the warehouse so people can see it in its very funky state right now, and it's really funky right now. And then we'll also have the plans available. Asian Neighborhood Design is a wonderful architect group, drew up the plans to have classroom spaces, meeting spaces, places for the seniors to be. We're really excited about what we can do should all the money come together and we're able to make this happen.
Now tell me about the mission for Family Connections and why is it so important to have these services in the Excelsior?
Family Connections exists, and our official name is Portola and Excelsior Family Connections. Family Connections exists to make sure that families have all the options that they need to support them as they work with their children to grow and learn. And so it's incredibly important that those kids have positive options, that they have support. It's not just about education, it's about the support as they go through that. A lot of our programs, we have a continuum of education where the parents or the caregivers are involved, and so not only are the children learning, but the parents and the caregivers are learning how to make their child's life even better.
Now, you have been in San Francisco for a long time. You're a native, correct?
That's correct.
Right. And you have worked in the nonprofit sector for most all of your professional career. What do you think is special about the Bay Area as far as these caring professions? I remember once reading that there were more nonprofits in the San Francisco Bay Area than any place else except Washington, D.C. And of course, those nonprofits are a very different sort of nonprofit. What is it about that caring model that seems to spring up in San Francisco, to give birth to organizations like Family Connections?
I think it's a sense of empowerment. It's a sense of social justice, if you look at the heart of it. Family Connections was founded 23 years ago by a single mother who had struggled finding what resources were available as she was raising her daughter, going through the school district, going through different things. And she was someone who one would have thought would have had all the needs met. We work with a largely immigrant population, a largely low-income population, a largely a population of people of color who may not have all of those same resources, and so what are they going to be able to do? But through her learning and through coming together with over 500 people from the neighborhood, what do we need? How can we make things better? Family Connections was started all those years ago, and we continue to grow. And now we've been in the Excelsior since 2004, a combination of the neighborhood and the city coming to us and saying, you're doing a great job, 10 minutes away, there's virtually no services. Can you come and help there? And now we've been doing it. We've outgrown 3 different spaces. It's time to get a permanent location.
Right.
And in this day and age, with everything that's happening right now and in Washington, as you were saying, it's so important for the people that we work with, a largely low-income, a largely immigrant population, to see that permanence.
Right. You gave me my opening. I was going to say that this is not a political organization, but we're living in a very political time here in the dawning days of the Trump administration, and you're dealing with a nonprofit working with an immigrant population. I imagine a lot of them Spanish-speaking. What are your family saying? Are they nervous?
They're very nervous. At the beginning of the presidential campaign, it was business as usual. What is that? We don't care. We actually do a very large voter encouragement effort.
Nonpartisan, I'm sure.
Nonpartisan. We work with the city. Let's try to get out the vote. Let's try to let people know when they have to register for everybody. After the election, just days after the election, we started having our families ask us where we could find lawyers. Were we going to be able to help them with deportation hearings, et cetera? Just very afraid. Mm-hmm. Part of it is the uncertainty of being immigrants. Many of them, English is not their first language if they speak mm-hmm. English at all. And part of it is just the tenor of the campaign. And so that's just another reason why not being in a rental space that everybody's crammed into, but being into a permanent space where people can see, here's an organization that's not going to go away. They're going to be here and help us however we need that help. Mm-hmm. They're not going to go away.
So, as I said before, you've been involved with a lot of nonprofits, caring professions over the years. How hard is it to raise money in this current environment?
Increasingly more difficult. Now there's very specific reasons people are trying to raise money, again, to offset possible deportation hearings, to support people as lawyers. I have in my career graduated to working with the kids. If we can help these kids, they'll have fewer worries down the road. They'll be educated enough that they can help others. And so I've focused on development instead of programming and development, because you can't do the programming without the money. Mm-hmm. And we have, marriage and family counselors. We have licensed pre-K teachers. We have all of those people in place at our 2 centers, but we don't have somebody whose job it is to get the money except for me.
Right. Without sharing, confidential information, are there any personal stories that you have come across in the last few months that have really touched you?
There are so many of them. If there were a better shot, you could see I'm motivated by food. And during the holidays, and we're currently celebrating Lunar New Year, which is a big deal for our families because we have a large Asian population. The people who came in during the holidays with home-baked tamales, with fancy cakes, with Asian delicacies that I didn't know the names of, but oh my God, they were good, mm-hmm. To thank us in a way that they could mm-hmm. for what we do. The people who came in and whose identity is, I'm Joe's mom. Mm-hmm. Just seeing that heartfelt love is so important. There's families that we've helped somebody get a liver transplant. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't speak the language. We help guide them through all of that. We do case management. We have social worker. Just what they're able to do when there's somebody there that can help them, that mm-hmm. somebody can translate what their needs are. So many of the caregivers that we work with are the grandparents of the children, and English is not their first language, again, if they speak English at all. Mm-hmm. But seeing what we do, learning as we engage them in the learning process, it's just amazing. Just the smiles that you see from them. And again, people who don't have a lot of money, the Excelsior, $25,000 is the average income there. Can you imagine?
Well,
living
and so
in San
these people were
Francisco?
giving, like, what is the old biblical story? The widow's mite was more important than the millionaire's gift.
Yeah, they're giving from the heart because we are making a difference. They can see that their children are going to have options that they have not had.
Great. We've only got just a few seconds left. What would you like to leave our viewers with as to what is special about the Excelsior and the Portola?
What's special is the people from all walks of life coming together. We provide them a place they can come together and learn and build, and they do. So whatever people can do to learn about Excelsior and Portola Family Connections, if they can come to our April 6th event and see even more, we'd really appreciate that.
Great. We'll see the intersection of mission and Italy.
Very good. Thank you, David.
Thanks. We've been speaking with Paul Olsen from Family Connections. Next up, our conversation with author Bev Scott, whose book has unveiled family secrets about the American West. We'll be right back.